So I didn't get here in time to check any of the tech stuff, so you can hear me on the microphone, I assume. I can hear myself, right? Hopefully the pictures will be big enough and not too big. Hopefully everything will go great. Thanks so much for coming out. Did my friend Craig make it? Craig, if you're here, wave your hand. You're not Craig. This is why I don't carry a gun. I've never stopped using it. Not funny anymore, is it? I have some things to say about that. Anyway, so I've been a cartoonist. Thanks so much for coming out. I really appreciate you guys coming to see me. I've been a cartoonist for 30 years. I don't even believe that. 30 years. I started in 85, January of 85. And for you younger people, you have no idea the horror of time passing that you have to face. Someday, very soon, it's going to be like when you're a kid, it's like birthday. It takes forever for Christmas to get here, and it takes forever for birthday to get here. And then when you're over 30 or 40, it's like birthday, Christmas, birthday, Christmas, birthday, Christmas. I stole that routine from a stand-up comic back in the 70s, so I figured it's safe, but then my guilt gets me, and I always have to out myself. I stole that routine, but still it's funny, it's true too. So, here's the thing about being a cartoonist. Drawing a cartoon a day is not that big a deal. It's not that hard to draw a single picture a day, right? And you think, wow, that's a great career. Well, the hard part is thinking of an idea a day, a joke a day, 7 days a week for 30 years. I don't get time off. I don't get time off for vacation, for holiday, or vacations and holidays are similar. For death in the family, grief, sickness, nothing. I've got to have a cartoon every single day to send to the company. Or at least, I send them ahead of time, of course, so it's not like I have to work every single day. But that's the hard part. So I've been doing this for 30 years. 30, is that marker big enough to be seen? I've been doing this for 30 years. Times 365. That is well over 100 cartoons in my life. And that is the hard part. Thinking of more than 100 cartoons. It's literally been, I think, over 10,000. If you do the math, 30 years times 365. Anyway, yeah, it's over 10,000. I've written and published over 10,000 jokes. I impress even myself. I can't believe I've done that. I can't believe if somebody had told me when I first started this, because each time I'd come up with a joke, I'd think, oh God, is this the last joke I'm going to be able to think of? If somebody had told me I would be doing this for 30 years, I would have just shot myself. I wouldn't have even tried. I would have thought, there's no way I can do it. There's no way. I can't do it. Anyway, is this on? There's a picture. Do you guys want to see some slides? All right, let's do that. This is a slide from the elementary school. This is a slide from where my kids went to school. I don't have any connection to this slide. I just found it on the internet, but I thought it looked kind of cool. Such a dumb routine. It's such a stupid joke. And still, it often gets the biggest laugh of anything in it. I don't even remember what's next. Oh, the opening song is next. I wrote a song specifically for you guys that I'm going to play for you now. And yes, don't say woohoo until you've heard it. I'm actually not much of a singer, but I'm a pretty good guitar player, so it balances out. Let me get my guitar. FYI, never buy a guitar on eBay unless the pictures are big and clear. Let's give it a try. Well, I came from California. All right, you get it. It's a cardboard guitar. Let's use a real guitar. That's not funny. Give me a hand while I get a real guitar. I saw you. Someone in the front thinks they're a comedian. All right, let's try this. This will work better. Yeah, came from California to Portland, VegFest, USA. Yeah, you all know what a VegFest is, don't you? Well, it's not a place where you can get a decent cheeseburger. Unless you want a cheeseburger made of mock meat. But personally, I don't believe in cruelty to mock animals. Came here to talk about cartooning and hopefully make you all laugh. I became a cartoonist 30 years ago because I'm no good at math. Whoa, I came from California to Portland, Oregon, USA. With my very expensive guitar, but I do not know how to play. Thank you. I think my friend, are you in security? I just noticed you sitting there facing the audience. This is security, isn't it? What? Oh, it's not security. You're just doing the hand thing. Laugh like a dope. Oh, my buddy from Tulsa just texted me at the wrong time. That's very much like him. I have a friend who's on his way here, and that's why I heard my phone tweet during my song, and so I thought I'd check to see if it was not him, someone entirely different. Oh, now I've got one from Craig. Let's see the catches, because Craig's oh, he can't make it tonight, he'll be here tomorrow. Never mind, we can just forget Craig, turn off the phone entirely. It's fine, no, it's fine, he's gonna be here tomorrow. I have to do this again tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be pretty much the same, but a lot different. Does that make any sense? No, let's look at some cartoons, for real. Oh, wait. I forgot about the kid, okay. First I'm gonna do a quick bio. This is a biography. Alright. I'm not nearly drunk enough to be performing. It's hard to perform sober. This is what I'm telling you. I'm kidding about that as well. All right, here we go. So this is a bio. This is just a quick bio of my life. I was conceived. I divided again. I toured the country with my mother's ventriloquism act. I dedicated my life to fighting crime. I got married. Shortly after that, I got pregnant. I gave birth to a puppy. And in high school, I experimented with the topiary arts. This poor man is my father. Yes, that's my father. See, here I'm wearing a silver spandex lycra sparkly t-shirt. And what you can't see is I had hip hugger bell bottoms and platform shoes. This would have been about 1975. And this is my dad pretending to be proud of me dressed that way. I'd like to say that I was on my way to a Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight movie or something, but no, this was like a Tuesday afternoon. This was just the way I rolled back then. You remember my dad from earlier in the presentation. So that brings us up to modern times. This is where we are today. As you can see. So let's talk about cartoons for real. When I was a kid, my favorite kind of cartoons were magazine cartoons as opposed to newspaper cartoons. Like, I wasn't crazy about the sequential stuff. I used to like just the single panel, like the way I do it. Single panel cartoons and my very favorite type of single panel cartoon is when you look at it and you see one thing. Your brain thinks it sees what it thinks it knows what it's looking at, and then you read the caption and it turns out to be something different. And this is a good example of that. Here you see Tonto and the Lone Ranger, and he's pointing at what appear to be smoke signals on the far ridge. But then you read it and you find out, fed up with the Lone Ranger's refusal to acknowledge his preferences, Tonto picks the cauliflower out of his salad and throws it into the gorge. And then you notice that they've got little bowls of salad in their lap as well. They're just having a salad out on the range. I'm going to take a quick selfie break here, and let's just say, it's a picture of me with all of you. Everybody. There we go. Yeah, thank goodness for cell phones. Back before there were cell phones, I used to just have to carry a mirror around with me everywhere. This is what I look like here. This is what I look like in this place. This is what I look like in this place. Now I can just take a picture. What do we got next? And now we're going backwards. Oh, I see. I turned the remote upside down when I picked it up. See how that works? I didn't go to college. There's that, and now we can go to the next one. Our method is the safest and most foolproof in the business. We simply tattoo your face on your scalp and teach you to walk with your head down. Think about it. Yes, there's the second wave. Keep going. This is a time release joke. I love to show this. I love to show this cartoon to audiences because it's like about 15% catch it immediately and giggle, and then you get like about 15, 20 seconds later you get another percentage of the audience, and then in the end there's always like that one person that finally gets explained. The person actually explains it to them, and then they laugh. See, it's kind of a difficult one, but that's what's fun. I like that about cartoons when they make you think a bit. They're not as funny as Garfield cartoons, but they have their merit. They have their place, I think, somewhere in the cartoon world. Speaking of food, my mother used to puke in my mouth. So if you don't know anything about birds, you're probably wondering why people are laughing at this. Bird mothers chew up their food and then vomit it into their children's mouths. Isn't that horrible? Isn't that a horrible way to treat your children? Apparently not. In bird world, it's considered good mothering. Anyway. When you said you ate like a bird, I didn't know you were expecting me to chew your food for you. Different kind of joke based on the same principle. See, food is funny. Finish your Pepsi and Cheetos and you don't get dessert. This is the way families eat today. Now, I hate being one of those old guys that says back in my day, but I've gotten there now. I'm an old guy now. When I was a kid, it's like, right? You just go on. Once you start out with when I was a kid, you can just go on forever, okay? The world's just gone to hell, hasn't it? Ever since we were children, I think the world was on its way to hell back then too. Anyway, when I was a kid, we were fed like a certain amount of certain kinds of. And these days, like we didn't have just like a refrigerator full of crap like they do now. Like we were allowed a soda pop once a week, and we would have like fast food once every week or two maybe. And most of the time we ate at home, and my mom just cooked dinner. It was like a very Leave It to Beaver kind of existence back then. And some of you under a certain age don't even know what Leave It to Beaver existence means. You probably think that's some kind of pornography term. TV show in the 60s. Get your mind out of the sewer. At least out of the internet. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on. Find the hidden history lesson, 1959 and today. I'll tell you, man, this is one of the saddest things. One of the most important things about vegetarianism and veganism and those things is, I think, is how it relates to our environmental predicament. It's incredibly devastating. The way industrialized farming since the mid-20th century has just become incredibly devastating. But one of the worst things that we have done, which is very much unseen, because it's all underwater, is we've destroyed the oceans. We fished like, I don't know, the estimates are like around 90% of the really large fish are all gone out of the ocean. And now all these creative fishes in restaurants that you never heard of before, they're there because those are fish that didn't taste very good. People used to throw them back. But all the fish that so-called tasted good, you know, to most people are gone now. So now they gotta eat, now we're eating crab fish, and we're depending on especially talented young chefs to figure out ways to make that palatable. That's what's happening in seafood restaurants. It's very sad. And the average person in the 50s was about that size, and the average person today is about that size. And honestly, I think this is a very direct relationship to the way we started producing food after World War II, and the size of our population now, and the condition of the environment. So that's what that cartoon is about, in case you didn't know just by glancing at it, which you probably did, but I got to do something up here for an hour, so I'm going to explain. We've been instructed to conduct a separate set of tests for Americans. And this is actually happening. There are industries that are having to change their standards for Americans, because Americans, on average, are much larger than people in other countries. In London, they recently, a lot of the London theaters in the fancy schmancy theater district took out all their seats and replaced them with fewer, larger seats because of tourists. American tourists couldn't fit into the seats. It's a little bit embarrassing. But it's at the same time, it's extremely difficult. The way we produce food in this country, and it's so much cheaper and easier to get high-calorie, unnutritious food. I mean, doesn't that drive you crazy when you have to pay extra to have them leave crap out of your food? Like, you have to pay extra to not, it's like, boy, it would be perfect right now if I had an example of that, wouldn't it? This just happened to me 2 days ago. I went, oh yeah, it's more if you don't want this in it. And I was like, this is one of those examples when you have to pay more to have less crap put in your food, but anyway, I can't think of it. I'll come up with it later. Here's a double thing. Fatty, fatty, goomba laddie. Kids can be cruel, 1965. This is when I was in elementary school, 65. And we had one fat kid in class, and people made fun of him. It wasn't right, but I'm just saying that's what used to happen. This is Kids Can Be Cruel 2005. Skinny, skinny, little nitty. This is like not even, this is not even a joke. This is actually happening. Kids now are this size, and they make fun of the skinny kid in class. It's just what's happening in our food system. Hey, there's a dead bird in this bucket of fried chicken. I'm suing. It is kind of a weird conundrum the way I've always thought it's strange the things that we will accept to eat. It's like entirely psychological, right? Like in certain countries, it's completely okay to eat this, that, and the other thing, and then to us, it's revolting, right? Like for real, if it's okay to eat pigs and chickens and cows, why is it not okay to eat cats and dogs? Everybody goes crazy about that. Everybody just goes nuts. Like, oh, we've got to stop these Chinese dog markets. Well, I agree, they are cruel and horrible, but have a look at the average factory farm full of pigs, which are every bit as smart as dogs. They're not our family members, but. And then for instance, like, maybe an easier way to think about it is like milk. Cow's milk, that's fine, sure, cows, they make milk, which is for humans. Totally, they're just magic milk-making animals. But would you drink dog's milk? Would you drink horse milk? I don't know, it's kind of creepy. For that matter, would you drink human milk? That's actually way better for you. At least it's your own species. So if you could go to the store and there were buckets of human milk that was just donated by lactating mothers all over the United States, there could be any number of thousands or millions of women's milk in any given container. That's exactly what we do with the cattle industry. That's exactly what we do. They're just random mothers all over the country, and we're taking the milk from their babies and then like that. You know, I'm totally not trying to be preachy. I'm really not trying to be preachy. I'm just saying. Praise. Yes. I don't know what he meant, but I'm not trying to be preachy, but it's just peculiar. Like you will go. You know, people will go and buy a bucket full of dead birds, but if there's a dead bird in there, yeah, I know they're not you know clean and boiled and all that, but still, yeah, there's something there. Something unusual there. I just like the way, I don't know, I like to find the way people think. The government food pyramid must be working. More Americans than ever live by pyramids. Yeah, the government food pyramid, you can't trust that. Maybe you will be able to someday, you certainly can't now. It's mostly, I guess, like the FDA, it's mostly there to protect the food industry now. It's not really about protecting the consumers anymore. I'll have number 7. I'll have a wide assortment of ingredients from your menu in different combinations than you offer them, but first, a series of probing questions. How many of you do this in restaurants? Yes. Yes, I know it. And it's oddly enough, in my experience anyway, and I don't have any statistics to back this up, but in my experience, it's mostly women that want to reorganize restaurant menus. I'm usually okay just to order whatever it is there. And maybe you say, could you leave out the, just like one thing or something. But I've been to restaurants with so many women that literally want to just like go in the kitchen and cook yourself. That's what you want. You can't take 2 things from this and 4 things from that, and 1 thing from that, and something else from that, and combine them all into some new dish that's not on the menu. You're not supposed to do that at a restaurant. Anyway, but we do it. Especially the vegetarian vegan types. Yes. No heart, no brain, no courage. How do you guys stay out of politics? I was really proud of this joke when I first wrote it. I couldn't believe that nobody had thought of it before, because it really sort of just perfect. No heart, no brain, no courage. I mean, it's like heart, brain, courage. It's perfect, right? For what the kind of things that people complain about. But nobody had done it before. I couldn't believe nobody had done it. This happens all the time with cartoonists. Is you come up with an idea, and then these days, it's thank God for Google, but you go online, you immediately go online. If you come up with a joke that you think anybody could possibly have thought of, you got to go online and look, because chances are, a lot of times they have thought of it already, and it's already been published, so that you can't do it. You can't publish it. This one had not been done yet, so I published it. But here's the problem now with the interwebs. People change the caption to how, no wonder, no heart, no brain, no courage. No wonder you're a Republican. No wonder you're a Democrat. You must like Obama. You must be a fan of Bush. It's like, come on. It already says that. It just already says that. You don't have to make it your own dagger, to prove your own point. So stop changing my cartoons. This is what I'm telling you. You're welcome to post, by the way, you're welcome to post my cartoons on Facebook and stuff. You're welcome to do that. That's totally cool. Just don't erase all the copyrights and signature information off of it like people do. Thinking that somehow protects you, it doesn't protect you. It's still, it's still a problem. Don't be an idiot. And if you come across images like this that don't have signatures on them, they've been stolen. Try to figure out who belongs to it and get the original one with the copyright on it. And chances are they won't mind you posting it, unless you're using it for commercial reasons. That has been just a little legal break in the middle of the show. Just in case you know where I'm going from here. One more theory. Leave it to come on. Leave it to an audience of animal rights people to go, aw. They're dinosaurs. They've been extinct for millions of years. This didn't happen. You don't have to feel sorry for the dinosaurs having their arms sunk. None of this happened. It's all mythology. That's the point. That's the point. I've shown this cartoon to audiences before, and I literally have never heard anyone say, "Aww." Anyway, so the point of this is, this thing brings me to my favorite presidential candidate. Super genius surgeon Ben Carson. What in the world is with that guy? What is with that guy? He's a guy, what? He's a neurosurgeon, which is almost synonymous with you go, when you say something's not too hard, what do you say? It's not brain surgery. This guy actually performs brain surgery. It's like some of the hardest stuff in the world, and he thinks the pyramids were grain silos. Are you kidding me? That means that he basically thinks they're hollow. How do you not know that the pyramids are not hollow? It's like the weird stuff that guy says. He's also one of these guys who thinks that if everybody carried a gun, society would be safer. And like, well, for instance, I have two adult daughters, and they both live in Austin, Texas, which is where University of Texas is. Huge, huge university. 30,000, 230,000, I don't know how many students they have. They have a lot. Huge university. And it's a great place. I love Austin, Texas. It's just like this amazing, creative, liberal island in the middle of an archaic, conservative wasteland. That literally, women were protesting about reproduction rights in the state legislature, and elected state congressmen were throwing tampons at them. Literally, that's what happens in the Texas legislature. That's how archaic. Yeah, anyway. Austin, on the other hand, is a great place. It's a terrific university, and the people there are very liberal and cool. And then when this last, it might actually have been the mass shooting here in Oregon. I mean, it's hard to say which one it was, because we literally have them twice a week now, right? I mean, that's like statistically more than one time each day in the country, more than 3 people are killed by the same gun. And that's considered a mass shooting. And statistically, there have been more of those this year than there have been days in the calendar. So it's actually been more than one a day. That's just insane to me. Anyway, so the governor of Texas, the almighty Rick Perry, he decided to, he passed this law that open carry was allowed on the University of Texas campus. They're encouraging students to carry firearms, like visible firearms, which is better than hiding them, I guess. You know, but see, I'm thinking, like, if you really think, this is what kills me about this, is think it through. A crazy guy comes in here right now with a gun, and he looks around, and 3 of you are carrying guns on your waist. Well, he's going to shoot you first. It just tells you who to shoot first, and then everybody else is secondary because they're not armed, right? So if you're armed, you're going to be killed first by the psycho guy. But the thing that kills me, or not kills me, I gotta be careful with my language. The thing that amazes me is that, see, what they think is going to happen is they have this movie idea that, like, some guy comes in here with a gun, and you're going to pull a gun and pick him off before he kills anybody, right? That's like, yeah, maybe if you're a trained CIA agent or something, but the average person is just going to, you got a room full of people with guns, and they hear a gun go off, they're going to pull their gun and just go like this. While they're trying to hide, just start shooting at the noise, wherever it's coming from. That's what's going to happen. Have you ever seen a bar fight? It's not like, you know, it's nothing like that. It's like, and then you fall down and you're like, that's what bar fights are like. You know what I'm talking about, I've never seen one. Or God forbid, been in one. You mostly like get the back of your head hit when you're in a bar fight because you're... Anyway, that's what's going to happen if everybody carries guns. It's going to be like this. Yeah, not particularly funny, but... Please don't go to any trouble. The burial. Just seal me up in one of those big rain things. All right, don't take a picture of that. That hasn't run yet. I showed you guys a secret cartoon. That it hasn't even been colored yet. That's why it was in black and white. I only just did it last week and I turned it in. It won't appear in newspapers, I think, until December. So, shh, keep quiet. Definitely don't sell that idea to some other cartoonist that's on a shorter deadline. I'll be really mad. Blindfolded cartooning. All right, I'm going to do something for you guys now. I'm going to do a little parlor trick called blindfolded cartooning. I'm actually going to get a volunteer from the audience. I'm going to have him come up on stage, and I'm going to draw a cartoon portrait of that person while blindfolded. Absolutely, yeah. Now, I need a volunteer. He has his hand up first, and he looks friendly. That's the thing. He looks like the kind of guy who's going to come up here and just be cool about it and not like try to make more jokes than I do.
That's right.
What is your name?
Dwayne Smallwood.
That's correct. This is. You got the first question right. It's Dwayne.
Yes.
All right. Now, here's what we're going to do, Dwayne. This is the blindfold. And I want you to ascertain for the audience that this is completely opaque. You can't see through it. I mean, you can always see like that little crack below, but that's not. You can't see this way, right? So tell me, tell the audience, can you see through that? All right, so now I'm going to blindfold you. I'm going to try to do a portrait of you while blindfolded. All right, just stand right there. That's perfect. All right, now, one thing, I'll keep talking so that you don't get bored. The thing is that I'm going to, just because it's more interesting, I'm going to draw you as a pirate. Yeah, so, because it's just more fun. And, I mean, t-shirt, jeans is fine, I know that's the way that people dress when they leave the house around here, but it's just much more exciting to draw a pirate, I think. Now, I'll tell you some secrets about cartooning while I'm doing this. The reason that cartoonists love to draw pirates is because it's sort of the only way you can get away with doing a cartoon about a disabled person. See, it's like you have a couple old ladies at Walmart and they have a hook hand and a peg leg. It's not funny. It's just sad. It's just, you're like, oh. But then if it's a pirate, you're like, oh, it's a pirate. That's cool. They're missing things. That's the way pirates always have things missing. So it's completely. Oh, and then the last thing I'm going to tell you about. Yes, that was just a little callback to when I was a dancer. All right. The last thing I'm going to tell you is that the reason. Have you ever thought about? I don't know if you've thought about this, but the reason that pirate hats always have a skull and crossbones on them is because they're poisonous. If you eat one, you could die. Okay, so take your blindfold off, Dwayne. Is it Dwayne?
Dwayne.
Yes, and that's spelled the normal way?
Probably.
D-W-U-A-N-I. How's it spelled?
D-W-A-Y-N-E.
D-W-A-Y-N-E. See? And does it look like you?
It looks amazingly good.
That's what I thought. Okay, so. And here's what happens now. You're going to get to keep this drawing. I'm going to sign. Oh, I should have asked you. Did you want me to sign it? All right. I could have signed it maybe if you had a different favorite cartoonist. I'm happy to sign that name. Now, here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be yours. I'm going to take this. You stay there because we're not quite finished. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another portrait of you without making you look like a pirate so that you actually get to watch. Okay? So if you would just trade my hat for yours. There you go. Oh, yeah, I'll take this one. And just put these on. There you go. Yeah. All right. So now, yeah, so far so good. Also, Dwayne. It looks just like you. All right, give Dwayne a hand. He's been. All right, now, after you take these drawings home and frame them, I'd like you to send me a photograph of them on your wall. To make sure that you didn't just throw them away. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Give him another hand. All right, what do we got? to me we could both save a little. Sorry. It occurs to me we could both save a little money if we went shoe shopping together. Trying to find my pirate accent. See, this is an example of, that's a joke you could only pull off with pirates. Although, here's an example of a disability cartoon that is not about pirates, unless I'm mistaken. Oh, there you go. It's the perfect stocking stuffer. It's all right, one of my best friends has an artificial leg, and she gave me permission to do this cartoon, and she thought it was funny, so it's okay to laugh. We West Coasters are so politically correct. I live here too now, by the way. It's not in Portland, though. I'm thinking about moving to Portland, but here's the thing. You say that, but then I know aren't there a lot of Portlandians who hate Southern California people, just like you hate people from Southern California?
Oregonians in general.
Okay. Oregonians in general, right? You just don't like the California thing. Yeah, see, I'm not from California, but that's where I've been living, so I'll be moving here from California. I was actually raised in Oklahoma, Texas. But here's the problem. Who applauded Oklahoma, Texas? Yeah, are you from there?
I'm from Houston.
You're from Houston? I hate Houston. No, Houston's lovely. Did you, do you like Houston?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
How did you end up here?
Small story.
Condition of your parole? Never come back to the state. I know, same with me. That's how I ended up on the West Coast. Yeah, I'm just a little worried. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of sunshine. Is that gonna, do you think it's gonna sink me? I mean, would you just get used to it, or are you guys all happy here because you don't care about seeing the sun, or what's that? Don't know any better? Were you raised here? Washington? Yeah, I guess kind of. Well, Western Washington, coastal Washington. Yeah, same thing, right? Yeah. I honestly don't. I didn't realize until I moved to New York City after 20-something, well, actually more like 40 years in the South. I moved to New York City, and then I realized that, as the winter, winter by winter, I was like, each year I was incrementally closer to some kind of a homicide-suicide situation, where I just, I was really close to killing myself. It was just so oppressive. So I just wonder about I love Portland, but can I deal with the weather, do you think? Is this a yes and no? What do you think? Okay, just by show of hands, let's not do the applauding. By show of hands, will I get used to the weather? Okay, now let's put those down. And no voting twice. By show of hands, will I not get used to the weather and I'll be so sad and depressed that I end up having to move south again? Okay. Interesting.
How far south?
I don't know how far south, she says. Well, just to wherever the sun starts shining again. I currently live in LA and it's sunny every day and the weather's perfect. I know it's nothing like that up here, but at the same time, we're in the middle of a drought. We have to import water from the Soviet Union or something. I don't even know where water comes from in Southern California because it never rains. It's rarely cloudy, so.
Southern Oregon.
Southern Oregon? What happens in Southern Oregon?
Sunny.
Is it sunny? Are they having a drought? No.
Water too.
So it's like the perfect balance, water and sun? Oh, she said no.
We have shooting sometimes.
Oh, yes. Cause of the smog. Yeah, I know. LA's kind of got the smog thing cleaned up a bit. It's not as bad as it used to be. It used to be visible. Now it's not. If you can't see it, it probably can't hurt you, right? Isn't that principle? All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we got for you. I don't even know. Let's be surprised. No meat at all? Are you sure you're getting enough protein? Yeah, that's a question that you get a lot, right? Now here's something kind of interesting. I don't know if you ever thought about this. I became vegan in 2002. And the thing that I've learned since then is that everybody's always worried about protein. And especially athletic types. Okay, well, a couple things here. Number one, have you ever heard of anybody being hospitalized for lack of protein? Low protein. That doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's like you can go into malnutrition is a thing, but that's just lack of nutrition in general. There's no such thing as lack of. There's some kind of a medical condition about lack of protein, but basically you only see that in people that are starving to death. So, no, you don't. You're not in danger of being a vegetarian or vegan will not put you in danger of not getting enough protein just to be alive and healthy. The other thing is that there's any number of professional athletes that will, well, not any number, a number. There's any number, 2 million. Anyway, no, there are a number, there be a number of professional athletes who will eat vegan while they're training because for one reason or another. So anyway, it does work. But here's what's interesting about it. The largest and strongest animals on our planet are virtually all at least vegetarian, if not vegan. I mean, they're almost all herbivores. Gorillas only, the only animal protein they get is the occasional dead animal they happen across or bugs or something. But for the most part, the vast majority, elephants, giraffes, all kinds of cattle. The cattle are huge. Those little orange and white cattle you see on the side of the road, those Herefords. Not like on the side of the road, but fields. Those things are small compared. A lot of cattle are like really huge. They're like just this giant, strong, insanely hugely strong animals, and they're all herbivores. It's kind of funny, right? That we associate size and strength with protein, but in nature, the largest, strongest animals are herbivores. Did you have a question?
You mentioned Houston a minute ago. Arian Foster, the Houston Texans, star running back, is a vegan.
That's right. That's correct. Did you guys in the back hear what he said? No? He was asking me if I was currently in a relationship and had I considered an older man. And would I require him to be vegan? I'm no longer evangelical about the way I eat, so you can eat whatever you want, but I am in a relationship with a lovely woman who happens to be here tonight, so obviously I'm going to have to tell you no now. He actually was pointing out that Arian Foster, who is a running back for the Houston Texans, is actually a great running back. He's like one of the NFL's best running backs. I think he's kind of not vegan anymore, but for some years he was. He was entirely vegan, and I think it was for ethical reasons. I think he was an ethical vegan as opposed to a medical vegan. Which,
Yeah, he's a cheating vegan. Like he's vegan, but occasionally when it's inconvenient. That's kind of what he is.
Yeah, do you know that for sure?
That's what he's said a couple months ago.
Yeah.
He said, well, I mean, he didn't say I'm a
Right.
cheating vegan, but he said, he said I follow away mostly vegan. That is the way he
Yeah.
terms it.
Did you guys hear what he said? I'm going to leave it to your imagination. What do we got next? Is the species that attacked you in the courtroom now, and can you identify it? Oh my gosh. I tell you what, it gets harder and harder for me to make jokes about this. We have just ruined this damn planet, the kind of climate change stuff and everything. It's just so depressing. I have to admit, it's so depressing. I don't even have a joke about this anymore. But yeah, I don't have a joke about it. That's it. That's the joke I have. People hate it when I say this, but there's really kind of no denying that human beings are a cancer on this planet. We're just like cancer. We just feed off it, feed off it, feed off it. And the planet tries to fight back, and if it wins, we die. Or I guess I should say, if it kills us, the planet wins. If we kill the planet, we win. But then we die anyway, right? It's like we think about it. For years I was raised believing that humans are the smartest animals on the planet, like we're the smartest species that ever existed. And in many ways, that's true. We clearly are. We're just sheer brain power. No other species has ever come close. But at the same time, within a very short amount of time, we're going to lead to our own extinction. And how smart is that? Not smart at all. I think maybe I have a cartoon that will exhibit that. Oh, yeah, this one of those cartoons is not funny, but it's poignant and meaningful and reasonably well drawn. See now, Ben Carson doesn't believe in evolution, so this cartoon would be nothing to Ben. I saw a tweet the other day that said, I gotta say it. Well, anyway, I saw this tweet the other day that said, Say what you will about Ben Carson, he forces us to ask the tough questions like, what are they teaching people in brain surgery school? Brain surgery school, sure. That's not what it's called. What are they teaching people in that school? How do you be a scientist and not believe in evolution is just a bizarre thing to me, or at least some version of evolution. Obviously, evolution is completely, totally figured out yet. We still have no idea how it started, how life started on the planet. I find that to be a really fascinating subject, how life started on the planet. But it certainly wasn't like, some guy in a white sheet and a beard going, on the first day I'll make this, and on the second day, that's obviously, okay. Any creationists in the audience? If there's not, I can go, are you really for real? You're a creationist? Wow. Okay. 2 math for dummies at $16.99 each, that'll be $50. This is the kind of thing that I'm very susceptible to. As I mentioned, I'm not very good at math. Somebody was going to hold up a sign for me when I was half done, and I don't even see that. I don't even know where the person is. Where is she? Oh.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? You're not the person who said that you were going to do that, but I do appreciate it. You know how to tell time. You're just trying to show off to the crowd.
I know when we shut down the hall downstairs.
Ah, all right. So I better hurry. This is what you're saying. I've only got 100 more cartoons. I'm serious. Here's what's wrong with the human race. Hey, I'm no different. I'm not pointing a finger here. We all want what's convenient and fun and delicious and wonderful, and it happens to be killing us and the planet. So we got to somehow or another we have to figure out a way to change it, right? All right, what else? Oh, here's a fun one. This one's going to unveil itself in pieces if the mechanical thing works here that I created. 21st Century Freak Show. The blank woman. Every inch of her skin is blank, not a tattoo on her. The geek. He'll eat anything. Trans fats, gluten, high fructose corn syrup. Good Lord. My spleen feels better. All right, this is the next one. Tragic, the boy who never tweets. Minutes go by undocumented. Yeah, anyway. We don't have much of that kind of stuff going on around here in Portland, though, do we? Dyslexic proctologist. When I published this, I got some angry mail from family members with people who have dyslexia. And I told them, there's dyslexia in my family too, and they thought it was funny, so just get over yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself, people. Dyslexic proctologist, you see now too. What do we got left? Oh, Medusa at a nude beach. Now, this is an adult cartoon, so if you're not an adult, don't look. I think the next one might be moderately adult. Now these last, I have a couple of cartoons in a row here that were actually too controversial, so they were never in the newspaper, they're not in Bizarro. But come on, we're all grown-ups here, so they're not that controversial, let's get over ourselves. All right, if Jesus had died in the electric chair. Oh, again with the pity noises. This is like not even a stretch. This is not a stretch, this is an observation. Like the worst piece of furniture in Jesus' life is what we all wear for jewelry. And right now, any number of people in this room would have little gold chair earrings if that had happened. You know it's true. I'd love to live in the West. Being a transvestite here is pointless. You see, It's the little freedoms that you take for granted in this country, I think. I do think this is an interesting psychological question. In fact, I have a friend I need to ask about this because he actually is a transvestite. I haven't seen him in a while, but for real, like, I don't completely understand the psychology of transvestitism, and I'm sure there's more than one angle to it. I'm sure there's like any number of other kinds of orientations, lifestyle orientations. You know, there's a million different ways that people come at it. But for real, like, is it satisfying to dress up like a woman if you're a transvestite in a country where you have to wear a full burqa with the face covered and everything? Like, if nobody can even tell it's you, is it still satisfying? It's kind of an interesting psychological question, isn't it? Anyone know the answer to this? All right, not personally. Yeah, well, me either. All right, I will ask my friend. I have a friend of mine who came out of the closet recently with this kind of thing, and he's actually a stand-up comic who all his life has been performing as a man, and now suddenly he's performing as a woman. He just decided, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to come out. So I'll have to ask him what he thinks about this. Anyway, I think I might be almost done here. All right, here's the big finale. Here's a quick thing. Another thing about how the brain works. Do you guys know this song, Bob Dylan? Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me, right? Tambourine Man, Bob Dylan? You guys know this song? If you don't know the song, then don't worry, it's fine. No need to applaud, he's not here. Have you ever asked yourself, what is a tambourine man? Be a guy with a tambourine, right? If you saw a guy with a tambourine, would you ask him to play a song for you? Let's try an experiment. Name that tune. Call it out. Anybody? No? No?
I am tired.
No? No. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy in the Sky. How do you not recognize that? Alright, let's try another one. Maybe, let's try another one. Anybody? Call it out. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Da-da-da-da. You guys are no good at this at all. All right, let's try one last one, and then that's I'm giving up. Anybody? Tambourine Man. Bob Dylan. I just sang it. It's amazing. No one ever wins that game. All right, do we have any questions and answers? If not, any questions and answers. Is there anybody, I know a lot of you have questions, but does anyone have answers? Because I'm frankly stumped.
I'll turn on the mic here, and if you have questions.
All right. Yeah, and if you only have until 6 o'clock before you have to go
Then you're 3 minutes late.
feed your horse or whatever, then you can just run out and leave it. Yeah, I like that he had to walk all the way away from me to ask that question. Go ahead and ask that question, sir.
I love you, man. I'm so glad you're here. I wish I knew you were going to be here. Then I could have brought your books and got some autographs. I cut out every Sunday cartoon of yours. And once a year I got 52 in a book, and then I staple them together and I put a hardcover on them, and I archive them, and I save them for my relatives. And occasionally I'll read one on a piece of stationery or a postcard and mail it to friends and things. And I hope that's not good.
So you're the reason I can't sell books. People like you.
And I found one of your old books for $3 at a yard sale.
Please, I'm blushing.
Run the Savages.
Oh, yes.
And you travel around, and your fans would pick you up at the airport or take you to restaurants and give you a place to stay. But you never talked about food in the whole book. You never mentioned that you were a vegetarian in the book.
Yeah, the book was written back in the 90s, and I was not. I was just an average eat whatever's in front of me kind of guy back then. Yeah, that book took place, the book you're talking about is called Bizarro Among the Savages, and it's actually a book that I wrote about a book tour that I did in '95. I was putting out a new cartoon book and asked the publisher if I could do, if they'd send me around and do a little book tour kind of thing, do some signings and stuff, and they said, you'd have to sell 1 million cartoons books at $5.95 to pay for a book tour, so no, we won't send you anywhere. So, kind of basically as a joke, because I was kind of new to email back then in '95, but I was one of the first handful of cartoonists to put their email address in their cartoon strip. I was not the first person to do it. It wasn't my idea to do it, but I saw a few other guys doing it, so I started doing it. And anyway, people had wrote to me, so I wrote back to everybody who had ever written me an email, which at that time was probably maybe 1,000 people. But I just sent them an email saying, I want to do a book tour, but I need plane tickets and people to pick me up at the airport and let me stay at their house and drive me around and feed me. And I sort of did it as a joke. And within minutes, I had more offers than I could answer. I'm not kidding you. Within like 10 minutes, I had 60 offers from people and it was all, nobody actually paid for it out of pocket. It was all frequent flyer miles and stuff from people who just travel a lot, for their work or whatever. They have frequent flyer miles. So like, yeah, sure, we'll bring you to, I went to Miami and I lived in Dallas, Texas at the time.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
But my question is about your hidden icons and the number you put above your signature.
Right.
Is that in homage to, or perhaps inspired by the great Al Hirschfeld, who did 50 years worth of New York Times Sunday newspaper arts and leisure front page cartoons of Broadway shows? That he would hide his daughter's name, Nina, somewhere in the crosshatching and then write a number above his name and how many Ninas there were in that particular cartoon. And is that where you got the idea?
Yes. Yeah, I'll continue to answer your question, but yes, have a seat. Before you waste any more of my time. No, it's a great question, thank you very much. And thanks for being such a big fan, unless you're lying, but if you're not, that's very flattering, until you said that thing about the yard sale. But yeah, Hirschfeld, of course, I'm a big fan of Hirschfeld. I started hiding little images in my cartoons, actually because as a kid, I was such a big fan of Highlights magazine, and they had those puzzles in there where they had all the hidden stuff, and a list of hidden stuff, and I just always thought that was great. And it was a lot of fun for me as a kid, so I started putting little upside down birds and things in my cartoons. And then people started responding to them and liking them and wanting to know what they meant. So I invented some meanings for them, which are all very deep and philosophical, and they're on Bizarro.com, if you want to go to my website. By the way, I noticed that some people are sneaking out early. Shh, don't turn around. Okay, everybody turn around. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Drive safely. They went straight to In-N-Out Burger, you know it. Well, they don't have those up here, do they? Anyway, yeah, something down the street. Anyway, as soon as this is over, I'm going to be, I brought a whole bunch of color prints of some of the cartoons you've seen here and some of my other favorite cartoons, and they're only $10, and I will sign them, and please buy them because they're heavy, and I really want to drag them back home. So I will sign them to you.